Dan Bongino and Stephen King, of all people, have recently gotten in a Twitter beef.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, seriously, what a time to be alive. It started off with Dan Bongino tweeting, "Biden is a disgrace to humankind, an embarrassment to the human race in every respect." Interesting take. Stephen King replied and said, "Yes, but he's got a real job, not a podcast." Laughing emoji. Dan Bongino clapped back and said, "Yeah, you're right. Millions of listeners a day on a podcast while you're watching porn in your mama's basement, yearning for the days that people actually gave a shit about your dumb ass. Nice comeback, dipshit. Get a job, loser."
Look, I just think Dan Bongino isn't very good at insulting people on the internet. It doesn't actually work in the context of Stephen King.
I thought it would have been more impactful face to face.
Yes.
Definitely.
Like, in the funny thing is...
a lot of people thought, like, does Dan Bongino not know who Stephen King is? Has he never heard of him before? Is that what's going on?
That would
here?
honestly be extremely based.
If
he just had no idea who Stephen King was, I would actually really appreciate that.
No, not if his job is to know what's going on in the world and the culture.
Hold on.
Stephen King is a big part of leftist Twitter culture.
Yeah, but Dan Bongino's a political commentator, right? He doesn't necessarily comment on culture. He could just be talking about political happenings.
But Stephen King is in the political space all the time.
Does Stephen King really have that much of value to say in the political space
Apparently
that Dan
he
Bongino
does.
should pay attention to?
But what's funny about it is like if he had just left out the part about Mama's basement, it would have been all right. But that just makes it seem like he doesn't know who he's talking about.
Honestly, it makes me feel like he has a better understanding of who he's talking about.
I don't think so, man. I also, and then Stephen King responded, and then a bunch of people responded on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw another take here from Papa John's podcast. I don't know if this is the real Papa John, but he said, "Stephen King, I have a question for you. I have read several of your books and a lot of your movies. Why do you glorify pedophilia so much in your books and films?
Gross.
Why did Corey Feldman say that pedophilia was rampant on your movie sets as well? You lecture us constantly and for all For all intents and purposes. He says intensive persons.
For all intents and persons.
Don't like that. You are a groomer and most likely a pedophile. At Dan Bongino, at Stephen King. Chill, Corey, chill.
Wait, is that what Dan Bongino said in his reply?
No, this is just an onlooker.
This is an onlooker, okay.
But it's true. There's this
a lot
weird
of creepy
fixation
stuff.
in Stephen King novels with children doing sexual things with each other or children getting sexually molested by adults.
Doesn't that happen in It?
In very graphic fashion.
Doesn't that happen in It? Where there's a huge...
And that was suspiciously omitted from the film adaptation because obviously no one wants to see that content. That's disgusting.
You'd literally be in jail.
Do you remember we were at like the pizza place at one time and I saw like a sign that said Bongino for Senate? And I was like, is that Dan Bongino? And we were like, no, I don't think so. It was. He ran for Senate here in Maryland.
Oh my gosh.
I think both of these men have accomplished more than most will in their lifetimes.
Yes, they have. He's like he has like a master's in psychology. And
Bongino does?
Yeah, and worked for the Secret Service.
I need him to psychologically evaluate Stephen King on his hyperfixation with children and sexualizing them, and also why all of the bullies in his novels are psychotic and don't behave like children at all, actually. Yeah. They behave like serial killers.
This is a weird trope you see in a lot of media now, though, where bullies are just complete psychopaths. Like, rather than calling someone a mean name, you're like, oh my gosh, this is... Well, I knew some bullies as a kid. They were not like this. They were too scared to mess with me, to be fair. So maybe that's why I didn't see that end of it.
They knew you were going to BTFO them with facts and logic.
They weren't like pulling switchblades out on other students in the hallway in third grade.
They say that all children profile as psychopaths because their brains haven't fully developed yet.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a punchy line that people say
your brain's not fully developed.
You know what? Take it. Take the money.
Not
Take the
fully,
money.
but I think kids do have an inherent sense of empathy unless there's something defective about them psychologically. Yeah.
But did you know that the word empathy is a psyop?
Why is it a
That's
psyop?
right. Don't use it. I mean, I'm being bombastic. It's not exactly psyop. But the word empathy is
psyop,
the word empathy. I recently got empathy pilled, which means I learned that the term empathy has existed for about 100 years, and what it actually means is in the emotions.
What does sympathy mean then?
So compassion is like to suffer with somebody. Let me look sympathy up. Compassion is to suffer with someone. So I've started saying like compassion. Compassion is good.
Yeah, empathy together, mission, undergoing something. Yes.
But empathy literally just means to be in your feelings, which is not something
people
to
are
strive
like,
through.
I'm an empath. I feel other people's feelings
No,
even
you don't.
stronger than they do. And it's just so hard to be the most sensitive little flower on the planet.
There is nobody
People
more
just need to
annoying.
accommodate me and
You
cater
said
to
that
me.
to me. You said that to me the first.
more annoying than
really?
somebody who constantly claims to be an empath.
Yeah.
The first day I actually came into the studio, I told you guys I was an empath, and I'm feeling self-conscious about it.
That you
I
should.
said I can feel
You
your
absolutely
emotions.
should. There it is. Thank you, guys. See, Mel Gibson's not an empath at all.
There are a lot of Stephen King novels getting adapted right now. Have you noticed that?
Yes. Also, I will be fair to Stephen King. The show Haven was based on The Colorado Kid by Stephen King, and I love that
Just
show.
money.
So.
I want this money off of my
In the
desk.
chat, superhero movies are the best movies. Says Brett, bring this guy on more regularly.
Thank you, baby. Get this out of here.
Did you stop the bullies with like a potato gun? You should have had a potato gun.
Do you have a potato gun, by the way?
Those
Hold
things
on a
are,
second.
Have you seen those things? Those things are
Do
crazy.
I have a potato gun?
Do you own one?
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed to say no.
Seriously?
I-
I
yeah,
would
I
have
don't.
thought someone would give you that as a gag gift
Yeah.
already.
No, people don't give me gifts.
Mary, take notes. We'll get him one
Yeah,
for his
that's-
birthday.
yeah.
There's two here. We got a
Okay,
big one from
just
Timothy
throwing
Duvet.
money at me.
And a big one from Timothy Duvet, and then Josh Frentz
sorry.
and Clint Torres.
Oh, did I miss all of this?
No, they just came in.
Okay. First from Corn Pop. It's on the internet. Glong Sing. Got it.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Timothy Duvet said regarding the thought experiment the other night, communism for you, total freedom for everyone else. Seamus said you weren't sure. You said you weren't sure because you wouldn't be able to practice your faith. Did the Apostle Paul lose his salvation in prison?
No, that's a fair point. Yeah, the Apostle Paul didn't lose his salvation. And people were even pointing out there's a verse where he says something like, that I might wish I could be cut off from the branch so that others would be saved or that my own people would be saved. But like I said, it's still a complicated moral question. People are really getting on me over this what if. I said, look, if I was asked, because what was asked on air was, would you live in a communist society but it's just you're subject to communism, but everyone else is free and we never have to worry about communism again? And then Tim said, on top of that, like, everyone will convert to the faith. I'm like, well, this is becoming way too hypothetical.
Yeah.
I think I lean towards yes, it would be the moral thing to do, but also I can't answer that question. I don't know. That's complicated. Okay. And there's this weird thing that happens where people will almost become frustrated with you if you don't have an immediate answer to like a complex hypothetical. Yeah. I don't know what I would do in that situation.
Isn't that the more discerning thing to do, to not know? And
Exactly.
Not just
Got another one
answer?
from Joshua French. Dan Bongino has written 4 books, was in New York Cop and Secret Service.
Yeah, and
That's
like I said,
pretty cool.
and masters in psychology. Like, he's got multiple degrees. I'm always like, when we were reading it earlier, because when we decided to cover this, I was like looking at his Wikipedia. I'm like, thank you for making me feel extremely inadequate, Mr. Bongino.
Thank you for your service.
We appreciate you.
Clint said, I think Stephen King was bullied as a child and he was so scared that was his perception of his bully, a psychopathic monster. I understand that, but here's my controversial take. We kind of need to stop with the anti-bullying campaign nonsense. Bullying is how kids socialize.
You don't want to open the door to
other.
that because I will bully you right now.
You bully literally everybody.
I never have bullied anyone. I've never bullied you. I'm nothing but nice to you.
I've witnessed it myself.
Who have I bullied?
We're not going to get into the specifics.
Oh, we'll save that for the after show.
That's for the after show, which doesn't exist.
I actually do appreciate that.
All right. Look, I think Dan Bongino arguing with people on the internet is actually probably the tamest of all. It's such a weird thing for us to cover, considering so many conservatives end up fighting with liberal leftist Hollywood types on the internet. This is such a weird one to cover. But it's like sometimes people just don't know when to just not. Like, do you need to say something
to
all the time?
BTFO Stephen King.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair,
Yes.
Stephen King responded to him.
Right, he started the
Yeah,
beef.
I will say the whole I feel like pointing out that there's disgusting explicit stuff involving children in his books is probably a better own than you live in your mom's basement, bro.
He just didn't read the books. So
I don't think he's read the books. But why did
I
Stephen
haven't
King
either.
wake
I
up
haven't
and
either,
choose
but-
violence today?
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.